Before we jump into this video, I have to give you guys a little disclaimer. The information I am sharing in this is not from my own personal gameplay experience. This is just info that I found on the game from 2 other reviewers on YouTube, and those being from Thighworm and also from Legacy Gaming, so I will leave their videos linked in the description. And also the gameplay footage is from VG247, so I'll leave that linked in the description as well. And this is going to be 30 things that you need to know, and I'd say before you even think of purchasing Space Punks, because it's not entirely free. So starting this one off, the developers Flying Wild Hog are known for the Shadow Warrior series, which is an FPS series. However, Space Punks is going to be a top-down ARPG. The game is launching in early access and it's free to play only if you get invited, and the invite feature on their website will just take you to the Epic Games Store, so I don't know what's happening with that. They might not have any keys left to give away or something like that, so I'm pretty sure the invite feature is just void at the moment. If you want guaranteed access, when it releases on July 14th, you have 2 options. Both those options being Founders Packs. You can either purchase the smaller one for £22 or $30, or you can get the more expensive one, which will give you a couple of extra goodies, but it's going to cost you £35 or $50. This game will feature a Battle Pass. It's going to be exclusive to Epic Games for an entire year. An open beta is planned to launch this winter, so that'll be when you get your chance to play this game for free at some point in the winter, unless you've been invited. If not, it's a Founders Pack. The console release is planned for sometime in 2022. This game is a twin-stick shooter, so a controller is highly recommended. However, you can rebind keys from what I've heard, and you can also play it with keyboard and mouse. The servers in this game are not great at all, with disconnects happening very often for some players, even during missions. This game is, however, playable in solo or co-op. The developers plan to release the entire story, or the rest of the story, in one update, and they will keep the game up to date each month, releasing new stuff and fixing things and doing whatever they need to do to continue the development of the game. And what they have so far in terms of story isn't worth talking about from what I've heard. There are going to be 4 different playable characters, each with their own abilities and stuff, but these are not all playable instantly unless you buy yourself a Founders Pack. To unlock them without a paid pack, you're going to have to grind for a currency. It can be obtained in-game, but it might at some point down the line become a premium currency. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. Your characters in this game will have talents and skills which will make them stronger in gameplay through different trees and stuff. However, from what I've seen, the skill tree seems like a point dumping system with absolutely no thought behind what the player chooses to do. It just seems to be a load of like passive bonuses and different, I don't know, say for an example 5% bonus melee damage and things like that. It seems to be incredibly basic. Also, the guns in this game seem to be quite overpowered, and melee does seem to lack quite a lot, if I'm completely honest. You have to bear in mind with all of this though, this is just from what I've seen in videos. I've watched several different videos now, gameplay, reviews. I've just taken a lot of info from the 2 reviews I mentioned at the start. I've heard from, I believe it was Legacy Gaming, the first few hours seemed to be really boring, but then the action picked up slowly over time as the difficulty got harder, like as you started cranking up the difficulty. To unlock the story missions in this game, it's not as simple as just going over to the quest giver or anything like that. You actually have to complete daily and weekly tasks in the game to level up a fame system, which is essentially a different battle pass system. There are lots of different daily and weekly tasks alongside repeatable quests in the game, and it seems a lot of the game is going to be based on these, because they've said every time you load up the game they want you to have something to do. With the first few hours seeming to be boring and then the action picking up, I've also heard that after a few hours the game's going to start more than likely feeling repetitive, boring and grindy, so it doesn't feel as though there's any middle balance. There's not a lot of content at all in the early access. By the time Thighworm reached Fame level 13, they had unlocked all of the story missions, and you're just going to go around doing repeatable quests just to obtain gear. So far in the current build, or what people have played earlier, because I believe there was an early access build, if that makes sense. But so far there are 2 playable planets in the game, and there are also 2 other game modes. One is PvP, and the other one is called Heist. Heist does seem to be, from the description I read when I was watching one of the videos, because they weren't really explained, it seems to be a PvE, I'm going to say like raid or dungeon type game mode. I'm not entirely sure on that one at all. But the people I was watching, not a single one of them has actually played, and that will be because you cannot enter unless you have a full party of 4 players, and there is no matchmaking in this game at all, nor is there any in-game chat. So in order to play this game in co-op, you're going to have to group up with some friends or with people that you found through a Discord or something like that, and you're going to have to use a bit of software like Discord in order to chat and communicate. Out of the 2 available planets that we've spoken about, each mission on a single planet might have you doing something different, but it feels exactly the same. They are just planets. There's no design change, there's no terrain changes at all within the planets. They all just feel and look exactly the same. You will have a vault in the main hub, which is going to be your inventory, and it's also the only place you can access your gear, so you cannot change gear on the fly. If you go into a mission, open up a chest and get a gear drop, you have to complete that mission in order to change that, like, to that piece of gear that you found. There is crafting in the game, and a couple of things in crafting haven't yet been implemented. The combat's apparently really good, and there's a gear vendor at the main hub in the game as well. The vendor and the crafting seem to be boring and incredibly basic. The art style is like a top-down Borderlands, the gameplay style similar to something like Diablo. There are other games that have been mentioned. I mean, like, you can always compare to whatever you fancy comparing it to. It's just the most common ones I've seen is an art style like Borderlands and a gameplay style similar to Diablo. If you are disconnected, whether it's your internet or electric going, whether it's a network issue in the game, if you're disconnected from a mission, you're going to keep the gear you found because it updates to the game's like servers instantly, but all your mission progress and the fame that you've earned during that mission will be lost. So I think that's got a positive and a negative. You get to keep your gear, but you lose your progress and your fame. Some people are concerned about the game being pay to win. The game will at some point be free to play when they've gone through the open beta and stuff, and microtransactions are not currently implemented into the game, so only time's going to tell with this, but the game doesn't even seem like a looter shooter, that sort of a game. It's an ARPG, but obviously there's loot and stuff and there's shooting, so you could essentially say it's a looter shooter of some sort. But there are loot boxes in this game, currently only obtained through missions, but they seem to award way more loot than the chests you find in missions. I've heard several people say that the loot is very hard to come by, you don't get a lot of it. Reviewers are already saying that it's got a solid foundation with a lot of potential. That's a red flag for me whenever someone says that, because it means there's pretty much nothing there. They just have the foundation there with the potential for the game to make it something great, and 9 times out of 10 that never happens with a game. And then the final note, number 30, the developers have confirmed they plan to reset your progress twice during the early access period. So if you get into the game, you put in 15, 20 hours, you get really far, high power, they're going to reset your progress at some point. Then you can go do it all again, reset again. That's all they plan to do, and after early access, they don't have any plans to do it anymore. It's just if you're purchasing a Founders Pack to guarantee access to this game, and then they're going to reset your progress, I don't think that's acceptable, my personal opinion. It obviously depends on what they've got to do, but I feel without any major like design changes or overhauls to any features or anything like that, I don't think games should reset your progress. Regardless of it being beta, early access, whichever early form of access to the game you want, I don't think your progress should be reset at all. But that was 30 things you need to know about Space Punks, and a couple of little things here and there with my opinion added in. And that's going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.